Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about The Garden Party by Katherine Mansfield. Now, before I go into summary analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. All right. There's a lot to unpack here, a lot to talk about here with The Garden Party by Katherine Mansfield. Um, we see the Sheridans. They are very rich. They have lots of money. They have a big house. Just a typical rich and wealthy family. They can throw parties. Again, it's called the garden party. It's a big party, and for some reason they put Laura in charge because this year, I guess, the kids are supposed to be in charge. But let's just really get to the core of it here. The kids are not in charge. Laura thinks that she's in charge of choosing the place of the marquee and everything, but she's not in charge. The Sheritons, Mrs. Sheridan is running things like a boss, like she always does. And they are running the show. What happens is there's a worker from the working class that dies in an accident outside of the walls of the property. And Laura's like, maybe we should stop the festivities, stop the party, let's not do this because morally, ethically, someone just died. We should be mourning this, but Mrs. Sheridan, this family, they're like, well, it happened outside of our walls. We don't really care about this. And for me, this kind of hits hard because if you're living in a country or if you're living in a place where you're rich, you have money, or the rich in general, you can just really disregard the outside world, the working class world, the plight of the poor people, of the people that don't have as much money as you. I'm like, it's 2025. When I think about 2020, when COVID was going on, a lot of rich people, they went to islands, all right? They went to islands where there was no COVID, where they tested everything. They made sure that nobody was sick, and they stayed on these islands and they protected themselves, and they were just fine. I mean, they could just escape from it. That's why, some rich people, some billionaires have bunkers for nuclear warfare as well. And so the rich, they have so much money that they can truly plan to escape the biggest of disasters. And to those of us who are working, to those of us who are in the middle class, if push comes to shove, you're on your own. And so Laura here, she's part of the shared this family, and she's getting a sense of the outside world, that the clash between the classes, the rich and well, we can pretty much say the poor, because really, to a billionaire, you're poor. All right, to a billionaire, to a multimillionaire, you're poor. It doesn't matter if you're earning minimum wage. It doesn't matter if you're earning $100,000 a year. To a billionaire, you're poor, because a billionaire can buy your house, your city block. The billionaire can buy you. All right. So to a billionaire, you're poor. So to the super rich families of the world, the Bezos of the world, the Musks, the Saudis, the super rich, ridiculously rich families of the world, the minimum wage earners, the middle class people, the people that earn 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, to these multi super, 400 million, 500 million, $600 million individuals, families, people who are in the multi millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. You're poor because you are nowhere close to them financially. They could, buy circles around you. And so this reality is something that exists to this day, because the gap is so big that you're buying things $10 at the store and $20 at the store, and you might be sitting down at a restaurant for like a $50 meal. You go to a nice steakhouse, maybe you spend $200, $300. To the multimillionaire, $1,000 meal is nothing. All right, a $2,000 meal, a $5,000 meal is nothing. I mean, to somebody who has 600 million, half a billion, that's nothing. All right. And so in the garden party here, it's the same thing. We don't know exactly how much money this Sheraton family has, but the difference between them and the working class is huge. The working class, they're worried about money every day. Their servants, they cater to this family. And Laura, she's trying to be this like new individual trying to understand the world and her place within it, and she's living in the lap of luxury, and these working class people, they're just trying to survive. And so she learns lots of different things. In terms of deeper meaning analysis, by the end of the work, she goes to see the dead man that died in the accident. They didn't stop the party. They had the party. It was a success. They had, the Sheridan family, they had lots of fun. Their guests had fun. Everybody had fun. But in the outside world, people are still struggling. People are still, dying, and their families are left worse. So this working class individual that Laura goes to see, he's dead, and the wife and his kids, his family, they're pretty much going to have to fend for themselves and figure out how life is going to work, because the breadwinner just died. So there's a lot to think about here, and especially in the system in which the setting and the time period in which this work is written, you can understand that it's the men who are the breadwinners, because the women, there's certain jobs that women could do at this point in time. In the setting and the time period of this work, you see women, especially in the Sheridan family, you're seeing women, cater parties, and there's definitely a set, jobs and parts of society for men and women. And so, if your husband dies, for a woman, for much of human history, if your husband dies, you're pretty much screwed. If somebody can't take care of you and your family, or if you can't go back to your home, your family home, I have to be that blunt. You're just screwed, because you weren't making money on your own. You would have to go into, just doing, odd jobs, maybe cooking and cleaning and helping out other families as a servant to make ends meet. So in terms of deeper meaning analysis, Laura here, she's like, losing her innocence, losing her worldview in life, because she's seeing that not everybody's the same. Some people have it, some people have the money, and some people don't. And if you have the money, you can have big parties and live a lavish life. And if you don't, well, you're in the gutter. And she goes to see this man. He's dead. He looks the way that he looks, and it has a massive effect on her. She's kind of just taken aback, because she has to take all this in, and how death plays a role into existence. And so, in terms of theme, in terms of even deeper meaning, I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. You're looking at the clash between the rich and the poor, and how ridiculous the gap can be. And that's something that we still deal today in 2025. We still deal with the gap between the rich and the poor today in all countries. Um, I mean, the rich just got it, and the poor don't. And when I mean the poor, I'm not talking about the homeless on the street. I'm talking about minimum wage earners. I'm talking about people who hold college degrees. $100,000 ain't cutting it. $150,000 ain't cutting it. It doesn't matter if you're making lots of money, or more than the average person. Families that have multi millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, 200, 300, 400 millions of dollars, the working class, the middle class, the poor class, it's all poor, because they can buy circles around you, because they're in the hundreds of millions, and you're not catching up no matter how hard you sweat or try. Old money is old money, all right? Old money, or billionaire money, is money that you just there's no closing that gap. Once a family makes it into the billionaire gap, they would just have to be very dumb and lose it all, to come back down, because it will take divine intervention for them to come down. Because when you have hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, or multi-millions of dollars. If you have 50, 80, 90 million dollars, there's so many ways to invest and there's so many businesses you can go into. Even when you make dumb decisions, you could probably still recover by just selling your house. Because like multi-rich people, they'll buy a house for 5 million. If they lose all their money and they still have their house, they can sell that house and still have 5 million. And just 5 million alone makes them better off than you are, even if you're earning $100,000 a year. Because with 5 million, there's so many ways you can invest that they could not be broke for a very long time. I mean, most people don't even have that close to that to even retire. I mean, come on. So again, it's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to unpack. When you look at the gap between the rich and the poor, you can also look at Laura's innocence, her, coming to the world, trying, understanding what the world is and what it means to be alive within this world, and seeing death for the first time. So there's a loss of innocence, a loss of ignorance is bliss here. The reality between men and women and the different types of jobs that women had during the setting, the time period that this work was written in. So that's all, things to be you can think about and take in when you look at The Garden Party by Katherine Mansfield here. So very interesting work. That's all I have to say about it. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.